The Raven Man, a mystical creature described as a man with large wings for arms, wings much longer than normal human arms, and completely black in color, save for his white beady eyes. A demon of considerable power, willing to grant mortals an audience and perhaps, if properly prepared, even a request. For this ritual, the performer needs 5 candles, salt, and a medium for drawing blood, such as a knife or a needle. It is also advised that they carry any sort of talisman for protection that they own during the ritual and the night after. To begin, the performer must create a circle of salt large enough for him to fit inside. The 5 candles must then be lined up before the performer, inside the salt circle, and then lit up one by one as the performer reads the following lines out loud. On this dark night, I call on the Raven Man. Appear before me here and now, and do my will. Immediately after, the performer must draw blood from their own body and touch it to the last candle and say, "The flame is my beacon, the blood is my sacrifice." These 2 lines must be repeated for as long as the performer feels, and then light up the last candle. The performer is meant to know when the Raven Man has answered the call. They may see him, but for the most part they will only be able to feel his presence. At this point, one can ask of him whatever one desires, such as an answer to a question, or grant a request. Once the performer believes he has achieved everything he can from this meeting, the Raven Man must be released. One must thank him for granting the audience and for whatever request he may have granted, and then proceed to put out the candles one by one, chanting with each candle, "I release you, Raven Man." But beware, failing to follow these instructions to the letter could result in the Raven Man becoming bound to the performer, constantly draining on the performer's energy until either a proper ritual closure or death separates them.
On this dark night, I call on the Raven Man. Appear before me here and now, and do my will. Blood is my sacrifice. The flame is my beacon. Blood is my sacrifice. The flame is my beacon.
The Raven Man was a peculiar one, to say the least. My first challenge was to understand how each of the elements of the rituals work individually before combined together.
Why candles? Why blood? Why salt? It's like an engine. It's important to see how each of these components work individually before putting them together to properly visualize the whole process. As far as my research at the time could indicate, salt served as a protective shield, the candle served as a beacon, and blood was the fee for an audience with this particular demon.
Now, on this particular ritual, I received a lot of help from viewers. Some of them were more experienced with this kind of thing, so they were able to spot a few problems in my first attempt.
First problem was the salt circle. It works as a cylinder, and since I made it too small for me, I kept accidentally poking through it with my knees and arms, effectively voiding its protective properties. I was also too vague in my requests, asking it to move items in view of the cameras, which apparently was too much of a vulgar display of power for this demon, according to some of our viewers.
The second time around, I like to think it went along a lot better. We fixed the setup issues, we asked better questions, and it just felt very rehearsed overall, you know.
However, I was still getting no response from the Ravenman. I tried taunting it, and even broke the salt circle and invited it to physically harm me, which was supposed to be a real threat, according to the instructions.
On the third and final attempt, I tried to break as many safety rules as possible, just to see what happens, you know, without voiding the attempt.
I began by ditching the salt circle altogether. We kept trying to taunt it, and I still got no kind of response. I disregarded the warning about properly closing the ritual and simply blew out the candles, another big no-no. Still, no sign of activity from the Ravenman.
I decided to ditch the stock change answer actually, because since it wasn't perceived by me, I have no reason to trust it really. You know, some things you just cannot take at face value. Do you think this will cut through bone?
Throughout the ritual, I heard a few eerie noises coming from the ceiling and walls, but those are to be expected at an old apartment like mine. Having attempted this ritual 3 times with virtually no results to show for it, I gotta call it a bust.
But is it? One could argue that an implied requirement for one to get any successful result from a ritual of this kind is for the performer to be experienced in meditation and to be receptive enough to any messages he may receive from an expected visitor. Should the stock prediction be taken into account, a relationship with such a powerful entity could give a mortal like us a great advantage over one's peers. Worth a shot, don't you think?